So we're going to have a look at parallel and perpendicular lines. So the gradient of parallel lines are always the same. So for example, if we had two different lines drawn for y equals mx plus c, and they were perpendicular, if they were parallel, and if they were parallel, for example, these two lines here, then the gradient must be exactly the same. So whatever it is on one that we're going across and then up, it will be exactly the same on the second one, which is why they're never going to meet. So the gradient of two lines, if they are parallel, will be exactly the same. If you have perpendicular lines, and perpendicular just means at a right angle, so they're at a right angle to one another, then the lines, the gradients are the negative reciprocal, or the flip and swap. So you need to turn the gradient upside down, flip it upside down, or find the reciprocal of it, and then you need to make it negative or positive, the opposite of what it was previously. And this means that they multiply together to make minus 1. So for example, if I had a gradient of 1, then the perpendicular is minus 1 over 1, and we know that 1 divided by 1 is just 1. And then the second one, we have a gradient of 2, so the negative reciprocal, we've put the negative on there, and then we've divided it by 1, so we've got minus 1/2. 3 becomes minus 1/3, and 4 becomes minus 1/4. So for example, if I added a few more into here, if I had 1/2, the negative reciprocal of that would be minus 2 over 1, or minus 2. If I had 4/5, then the negative reciprocal of that is minus 5 over 4. If I had minus 3/4, then it would be 4/3. So each time, if it's perpendicular, it's the negative reciprocal. So for example, if we had our original equation as y equals mx plus c, we take the gradient m, we do minus 1 over m, the negative reciprocal, and that will give us the gradient of the new line. So for example, I've got to find the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 3x plus 7, and it goes through the point 0, minus 2. So whenever you're doing these kind of questions, you need to first of all identify the gradient in the original, and we're told that it is parallel. So if it's parallel, the gradients are the same. So my new equation will be y equals 3x plus or minus something. I'm still not sure what's going to come next, but I know that the gradient is 3. We know that it's in the form y equals mx plus c, or b, and I now know that m is 3. I'm still not sure what's going to come afterwards, but we can look at that in a second. So for now, we could just write plus b, but we need to find what the b is. But we're given a second bit of information. So you're told that it goes through the point 0, minus 2. So we're going to use that to help us define the b value. So this means that x is 0 when y is minus 2, thinking about your coordinate. So if I put that into my equation, y is minus 2 and x is 0, then I have minus 2 is equal to 3 times 0 plus b. So minus 2 is equal to, now all of this becomes 0, so just b. And now I found what my b value is. So at the end, I can write out the full answer. The gradient was 3 and the b value was minus 2. And that is my full answer for the equation of the line that was parallel to 3x plus 7 and passes through the point 0, minus 2. So we're going to do similar on this one. Find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to y equals 2x minus 5 and passes through 5, 0. I think the bracket there should be on this part here. So on this one we're going to do the same thing. We know that y should equal mx plus b. We're finding a straight line. And we can use this bit of information to help us find the gradient. So it's perpendicular to this line. So if the original gradient is 2, then the perpendicular to that is going to be minus 1/2. So that tells me that y is equal to minus 1/2 x plus b. Now I need to try to find the b value, which I can do knowing that it goes through the coordinate point 5, 0. So that means that when x is 5, y is 0. So I'm going to use that to try to find the missing information. So I'm going to substitute that into my equation. When y is 0, x is equal to 5. So now I've got minus 1/2 times 5, which is minus 2.5, plus b is equal to 0. Or you can leave that as a fraction, 5 over 2. And then if we rearrange that, we're going to subtract or add on 2.5 to both sides and rearrange it. Or at this point you could also use your nsolve on your calculator. Then we find that 2.5 is equal to b, and now I know my final answer, which is minus 1/2 x plus 2.5. And that's the final answer for the question. This one's a very similar style of question. So for the equation, we need to find the line that's perpendicular to the line that joins those 2 points together. So if we think about roughly what this looks like, I've got the coordinate minus 2, 4, and the coordinate 4, 1, and there's a line going between them, and I want the perpendicular to that point. Okay, so the perpendicular is going to have a gradient that is 90 degrees, or the negative reciprocal of the gradient between these 2 points. So I can find the gradient between those 2 points, and that gives me the change in y, or the rise, divided by the change in x, which is run. So I'm just using my gradient formula. So it's 4 minus 1 over minus 2 minus 4, and that gives me 3 over minus 6, which can simplify to make negative 1/2. So to find the perpendicular gradient, I flip it upside down and I swap the sign. So the perpendicular gradient is 2, so y is equal to 2x, and it doesn't tell me what point the line goes through, so it could be anything that comes after. So y equals 2x plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 minus 100, whatever it is that you want to put on there.